Okay, first off, the word maxing at the end of everything is going to kill me this entire conversation. So just be very aware of that. And I'm also a huge fan of micro workouts because I think a lot of times that's all most people can get in. So I'm excited to get into that. But why don't you take it away, my friend? The
Yes,
2026 trends are a good time.
it's a good time. It's a good time. February, we're into the second week of Feb, the love week. And the first week, Fibermaxxing is near the top of the list. So fiber we talked about earlier, like is a trending topic. And Fibermaxxing is basically intentionally increasing our daily fiber to support our gut health, blood sugar stability, hormone balance, and metabolic efficiency. So it is a cool one. I think it's an interesting one that we're it's because it's something that's just been part of a whole food diet for a long time, right? But like it's cool that people are starting to talk about it. Um, fiber maxing itself is just getting to your max fiber is basically
I
the
mean,
scoop.
I, listen, are people Googling Fiber Max? Because I got a lot of questions about why that's coming up, but I think it's cool too because, like I said, fiber was a fascinating one from the jump to start seeing that kind of pop up, especially because we went through a time in history where we were using things like, do you remember that orange drink that you would mix and you would see them mix, and then
Metamucil.
that's it, yeah, and you would, and that's what that was, and so to see people kind of taking initiative on their own and understanding the hormone balance behind it, I think that one's going to be a fun one. I am always curious in terms of fiber intake. It's not actually something I think about. I I don't think about it maybe the same way some people do. So I'd love to hear your take on fiber because I just kind of eat the food I eat.
Yeah, I'm very similar. I think what people are Googling is like they're hearing it in the socials, fiber maxing. This is kind of like a trend that's
Oh,
happening.
okay.
So it's like fiber itself is just a carbohydrate found in plants and seeds and stuff, right? That's not actually a
Yeah.
food that we're digesting like sugars and starch, but it's something that really helps fill us, helps like the stool, helps with
Mm-hmm.
pooping and all that good stuff, right? And
Yep.
um, but yeah, I think it's one that you really get from food.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the fact of supplementing it, but I think most all in all is just kind of taking a look at the diet, right? Because you're looking at like your high rich fiber foods or like your lentils, your black beans, your chickpeas, kidney beans, anything like that. You have like those kind of like superfood seeds like chia seeds, flax seeds, almonds, all ways that you can just really easily like boost the fiber intake. And then if you
Mm-hmm.
really get in tech with it, you can just measure your dosage to get to your fiber max.
It's your fiber max. I like adding depending on the type of smoothie. I know that's always a great way. Like I said, it's how I tricked my son to getting his vitamins in, and any sort of medication would just pop it in a smoothie. And so I love adding like a chia seed for texture because I really don't really eat for taste. I'm a person who eats for texture. So I like what seeds can put in a smoothie. I like that little crunch. So that to me is a nice way. I don't think about it from a fiber perspective, but I think about it from a texture perspective, and it makes my mouth happy. So generally, when my mouth is happy, everything else is happy.
It's good words to live by. The Jay said here I remember she was using something called the colon broom, which was actually a
Okay.
cool product that like they it was like a fiber product that
Yes.
helped with like just clearing out stuck stuff. And I think that's
Hmm.
the big one too, right? Is a lot of us have just like stagnancy in our gut
Oh yeah.
microbiome, and it just reverts back to gut health, right? And like
Yep.
how it supports our GLP-1 response, how it supports looking good, feeling good, being thin, and fiber's a big part of that. I think we got caught up in all these like crazy GLP-1 this,
Yeah.
fat burners, all these things, when in reality it's like balancing out the diet and fiber being a huge part of that.
Well, it's really interesting to hear you to bring up the GLP-1 too, because just side tangent to see what America has just done around. I never thought these words would mix like Trump RX. So he's actually made medication available for Americans in a cost of like he's basically taking these companies that were working and creating things like GLP-1s and saying like nobody can afford that and the only people who should be having it are people who are genuinely struggling. So he's made it affordable. I still don't want people to lean on any of those for several reasons. I mean, the contraindications with like life and just in general what we're seeing now from a few different lawsuits and things, whether it's from what's it called, there was a people were getting paralyzed stomachs, they were having a massive muscle deterioration. It was causing people to not eat because it was more of a appetite suppressant. And so I try to tell people like if you're gonna go try to go those routes. It's just if you fill yourself with a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, and then you're looking for an appetite suppressant that you're struggling to just not put food in your mouth. Ketones actually are an appetite suppressant, so they work
Okay.
to help. Oh yeah, that's what ketone IQ is. A lot of their thing was it's is an appetite suppressant. It will significantly shift your appetite and really help kind of hold you over and balance your blood sugar. But those are just kind of like little things. I would just go higher on the protein and the fiber. And then, depending on your output, add in ketones to help with that if you're really struggling rather than going to the GLP because you lose muscle, you don't lose fat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, ketone IQ, yeah, Jay, they do work like that. It's really funny. It's one of their biggest advertisements is for, especially for athletes too, when you're using it, it will help cut and curb that feeling of hunger while going through like strenuous workout. It's really fascinating stuff.
Is there a time of day where they recommend to use it? Like as far as like, are you hitting that first thing in the morning, or is that more of like an afternoon kind of energy burst rather than snacking sort of vibe?
So for me, it depends on what's going on. So I always travel with like in zero exaggeration, even if I wasn't working with them, I would travel with them because they I do have like I'm the type of person because of my brain injury, I do get like diabetic symptoms. So I'll have like massive swings in blood sugar even if I've eaten, even if I've done what I need to do, I'll have it my frontal lobe has a higher output. So I try not to do it in the morning unless I'm about to go into like today before I do Alex Jones, I'll take one and I'll probably take one of the caffeine ones because it will help with focus significantly. It will um, alleviate brain fog. I know a lot of people that use it instead of coffee in the morning. They don't use the caffeine ones, they just use the regular ones. And then if I'm about to say go somewhere and travel somewhere, I keep them with me. So if I can't get healthy food, I'll take that instead of eating like some junk.
Okay.
Yeah, just no, not the caffeine ones after 12. I promise you, that's a nightmare. Don't do it. I accidentally 2 weeks ago drank two of the caffeine ones, the new grape ones, because I thought they sent me the non-caffeine. I drank two back to back and then couldn't sleep all night. mm,
Buzzing. I could see how that would be,
Baby didn't
yeah,
like it. Too
supercharged.
much,
I bet. Yeah.
too much caffeine. My stomach was, she was like tight in there and stuff. I was like, what is wrong with me right now? And then I looked at the bottle. I was like, oh my God, they're 100 milligrams each. So they're like a dose. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I have a lot of people who, if they're struggling with diet and they're snackers, they'll have the non caffeine one in the afternoon, and then that'll give the boost. But I always say like have an electrolyte after it too, because that'll help really not only just fill the stomach, but it will help replenish those minerals that you need in the afternoon that a lot of people get the slump from anyway.
Yeah. And that's where the fibers are going to work best, right? So it's like
Yeah,
mixing in these types of foods, or if you don't have them, then maybe it is good to get some sort of fiber supplement.
yeah,
But like before or with the meal, right? That's going to really help with the blood sugar balance, help with the digestion, help feeling
hmm
full, not getting that huge like sugar, want that desire for sugar after a meal.
hmm
Um, and then there's cool ones too, right? Like raspberries,
yeah,
apples,
hmm
pears, avocados. That's a great one to add in meal because you're
hmm
getting those healthy fats too.
yeah,
And those are all great. Like they have a good fiber amount. So any of these seeds, kind of bowls, first thing in the morning too, that's going to help you just give you that energy, help with your digestion, help have a regular poop.
yeah,
All this stuff's connected too. And I think that's the biggest one when like we talked about in the previous episode with our gut. our digestion and then our circadian rhythms and stuff. This rolls into our sleep. So getting those regular bowel movements, getting those, and fiber plays a role in that. So adding these into our meals, finding that time so you're regulated.
Yeah, the it's interesting. I always go back to this, but again, I learned so much when I was in treatment. If you're not having a regular bowel movement, you're going to really struggle mentally. The brain fog is quite significant because there is toxins that your body is trying to get rid of, and a lot of people, there's some people who they don't go to the bathroom, once every couple days.
Yeah.
So hydration, looking at that in a really significant way. A lot of people rely on coffee for it. I highly suggest you don't do that. But I love the idea of the smoothie in the morning because you can get in a ton of fiber with whether it's like the fruit you're using, like I said, and you don't have to like, I get it. A lot of people are like, I don't understand. I post a lot of like the food I eat. So it's like normally steaks and it's like smoothies. Like I don't understand how you can afford it. And it's like you can buy in bulk, you can go to a local butcher, which I do. And then also with the fruit, I buy frozen fruit. So the big bags at Costco of raspberries for your fiber intake, you know,
Yeah.
that's a huge win for that.
And I think too, one thing I think I've really learned, because I love food and I used to eat. And what I've done is I started to cut down my meal size.
Yeah.
And because I was getting over full and I was
Mm,
feeling really sluggish and like, and because I was really hungry and then I was overeating and I realized I just needed to cut down my meal size. And then that's made me feel really, really good. And
yeah.
when it comes to cost and stuff, I think we just think we need so much more food than we do. Because
Yep.
for our daily intake for fiber, men 19 to 50, it's 38 grams per day. Men 50 plus, 30 grams per day. Women 19 to 50, 25 grams per day. Women 50 plus, 21 grams per day. So, and right now the average daily intake is about 15 grams per day. So
Hmm.
most people are a little bit low, but when you look at like a cup of raspberries is 8 grams. So like that's
Right
only a
there.
cup. That's not a ton of raspberries, right? So I think when
No.
we're doing a whole whack of raspberries, it can be a smoothie doesn't need to be a full Yeti size. It can be just
No.
like a normal cup size, and you're gonna get a good amount of that fiber, especially when we're starting to add like chia seeds in and like maybe some. I always add like cashews or almonds to my smoothies too, because you
Oh,
get
there
kind
you
of that
go. I
that
wanted to see I want to see this one fruit because we eat a lot of it. Oh, that's not a lot. Oh, that's it's a little less than I thought. I was taking a look at mango because mango is a huge one we use in smoothies here. And my son drinks an entire Yeti. I'm not kidding. Every morning of a smoothie. That's strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, mangoes, and a banana. And that kid is the most like clockwork pooper I've ever seen in my life.
that's great.
And it's hilarious because you wouldn't think that just based on the way he is, but it's like that's what I mean. If you have a half a Yeti, you put 2 cups of raspberries, 8 times 2 in that, and then you add, say, maybe like a cup of mango, you're gonna get, based off what I can see, for one piece of mango, which is 165 grams, it's 2.6 grams of fiber. So that already alone, your full day of fiber can go into one smoothie, and then add a cup of like 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. There's 10 more grams of fiber. So I think it's a lot easier to get in than people realize. I think it's just not understanding maybe where it comes from, the source, and
Yeah,
then how to get it in.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I love that. I love that fibers making a move, and it all taps into everything we've been talking about. I mean, I think like you can do the supplements if it's easier for you, but all in all, I think overall, if we can do it through the diet, because then we're just
Hmm.
tapping into all the other bits, because then you're getting your nutrients, you're getting all those vitamins, you're getting those minerals, right?
Hmm.
So all key parts of it, if we can do it from our food, it's definitely the way to go.
I'm excited because when you're pooping properly, you sleep better because your stomach's digesting, and then you're actually resting at night rather than digesting at night, which
Yeah.
I think brings us to our sleep max, which, by the way, sleep maxing just sounds like an Olympic sport. And I feel like I would crush it at this. Love this because of this is the one area I think so many of us have fallen prey to. As much as I love Alex Hermosi's hustle, I absolutely despise his culture around rest. And I
Yeah.
think that, one of the biggest things right now we have seen is if you watch any of the podcasts, there's a recent one on Diary of a CEO with an Alzheimer's and dementia specialist who took a look at sleep deprivation and how sleep deprivation in your 30s and 40s can actually cause Alzheimer's and dementia to be an onset issue. And that's shift workers, that's the university students, that's the, oh, I only need 3 hours, I only function well on 4 to 6 hours. That's complete bullshit. You may cognitively think that, but what ends up happening with the brain and the synapses in the frontal lobe, you only get X amount of connections in the brain, and when some of those die, they die. So people say it's hereditary. Sure, there are some markers for it, but there are people who have had all of the markers and then go into their 90s, but they slept properly, they ate properly, they moved, and they kept their brains busy and engaged. Now, that was the key with sleep, looking at sleep around this. So she talked a lot about it. Room temperature is so important into how you sleep, the depth you sleep, and whether or not your body's actually going to rest or be in distress. I know most people, we keep our room at about 67 to 68 degrees, no warmer than that. I have a lot of friends who sleep in 62 to 65. I know I'm speaking American, just go with me. But those are, the temperatures that I find the most effective. Anything over that, it's too hot. It's too hot. Your body cannot rest. It gets into distress a little bit. That's a huge one. And then looking at things like your light reduction at night, which is a massive when we discussed that before with the blue light glasses and the orange lenses. So that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huge ones. What do you think about mouth taping? You ever
So
tried?
I've mouth taped a significant amount. Um, Mouth taping is a fascinating one too, because if you can feel safe with it, there's a couple different companies that have different types of tape. Some that just have a strip that go over here, so it's a little less anxiety provoking. Some that have a full piece that go all the way over across your mouth. I've utilized both. Um, what we do know about mouth taping and why it works so effectively is if you don't have a deviated septum and you can breathe properly in your nose, it actually helps with development a lot, because when it comes to breathing, becoming a mouth breather, that actually will affect your oxygen intake to your brain and how you sleep. If you can mouth tape, I suggest trying to do it at least a couple days a week, because the type of oxygen you get from your nose versus your mouth is going to be different and more replenishing for the brain. And I think you'll actually feel better. That being said, it does give a lot of people anxiety, the idea of like, if they don't have a strong nasal passage. I
Yeah.
like it. Not every night, but I like it.
I yeah, I read that sleep book years ago, and it really, I was like, wow, this is wild how much, and I didn't realize the mouth breathing. I was totally mouth breathing,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started to focus on it and just like kind of be mindful about it during the day.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the taping was like weird, and I don't like it was like too like having a
Restricting.
tape, like you got chemicals on coming into your
Yeah.
fucking lips, like which weirded me out.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I put the tongue to the top of my mouth, but then
Mm-hmm.
you right, and it's just an easy way because then you're focusing on it. If you just rest your tongue there, it starts to become a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Then you naturally nose breathe.
Yeah, and the tongue on the roof of the mouth one is actually a development thing too. We learned about this with my little man's airway. So when you're a lot of people are being diagnosed with sleep apnea, and they're not big people. I have a girlfriend of mine who's maybe 125 foot. She has sleep apnea. I have another
Yeah.
client of mine, same sort of body type, sleep apnea. And it's because when you mouth breathe when you're younger, it narrows your airways. And there's actually tongue exercises you can look up on the internet that when you do those, it will start to open up your palate and your airways, and you won't have that feeling so much. But people who feel like they can't breathe through their nose, a lot of people have deviated septums and have no clue about it. So I always just say, if you're going to before you mouth tape yourself for 8 to 12 hours, make sure that you can breathe properly in your nose. Otherwise, you're just going through oxygen deprivation, and that that'll kill brain cells. So we don't
Oh, yeah.
we don't want to like do that. Um, Again, I have a lot of athletes that mouth tape. It's a something that's also not on this list, but has been a game changer for sleep, especially if you have a deviated septum, is nose strips.
Yeah, that one seems to be, that's the big Hermosi thing too, right? He's always got those
Oh, I
things.
don't, yeah, I don't care about him. I use it with athletes because they can only wear certain things on their noses, like legally when they're
Right.
playing. And so when you're able to open this up, even if you do it temporarily before a game or something big, the oxygen difference, and then before bed, if you're gonna mouth tape, trying to get one of those like gua sha tools and pushing out your sinuses right here, so just going up on your nose and down will also clear this out. And then if you nose tape right here, you don't even need to mouth tape. You will naturally breathe through your nose because it's a better airway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there one of those one? I've heard those nose strips. It's about getting the right one though. Is there one that you know?
To be honest with you, I don't use any of the fancy ones.
Like the
Like
magnet? Aren't they magnets or something?
you can get those. Those are the fancy ones. I go to London Drugs. I don't like London Drugs. They support dying with dignity. Longer story. Don't need to get into it. But I actually do like the old school tape ones.
Okay.
They have three different strengths. And I get the strongest one. And I find like it will lift my nose and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a different person. Like I can breathe so effectively, especially when I'm getting a bit of a cold or I'm feeling a little congested. I just do a neti pot, wash that out, push it out, and then slap one of those on. You don't need the expensive ones. You don't need to go buy Hermosi's, whatever. God knows how much that's cost. They do have magnet ones though. If you don't do well with adhesive, um, I do find the adhesive can irritate skin, but it depends on your skin and what you're used to. But I do find them to be quite effective over mouth tape. I prefer that over mouth tape.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Good to know. So sleep maxing is basically the social trend saying get proper sleep, find proper sleep times, get into
Yeah.
sleep habit, and actually sleep. So how much sleep should we get?
Well,
Adults, it's like 18 to 64, 7 to 9 hours is really the kind of key spot. We've
mm-hmm.
talked about this before, 65 plus 7 to 8 hours. Teens, 8 to 10 hours. I feel like I'm still in the teen range. 8 to 10 is feel like where I'm the best. But
I'm right there with you, buddy. But you got to
yeah,
remember that's because your cognitive output, right? Most people don't realize you're not eating for your body, you're eating for your brain. You're not hydrating for body, you're hydrating for your brain, and you're not sleeping for your body, you're sleeping for your brain. And so the cognitive output that you do on a daily basis that I am consciously aware of doesn't shock me that you don't sleep 10 or plus more hours a day.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's like usually that 8 is the minimum is what I set it to, and
Yeah.
that's like good. But if I can get to that 9, that's ideal.
Well, also to teens, like so many people overwork their kids nowadays in sports and activities, thinking they need to be constantly busy and kids aren't sleeping enough. Um, and then you put them in a classroom where they don't move around. So that's a different conversation. But I'd say, like, let your kids sleep. Let your
Yeah,
kids sleep as much as they want to sleep. If they need to nap, let them nap. This is really where their brain is creating those, the nerve growth factor. This is really where that frontal lobe is developing. And the more you give them and then enrich them with the proper tools and the proper like vitamins, I'm telling you, it makes a different kid. And the brain, you just see the wires connecting so quickly. So let your people sleep. Stop overworking them. They don't need schedules like grown adults. Let them sleep. And again, like this was the other part that I love that you put, because it wasn't just the duration of time. It was the consistency, how long it took to go to sleep, and then your REM and deep sleep and the minimal wake. And when we're looking at this, a lot of people have a hard time falling asleep because they fall asleep to a TV or they're scrolling on their phone. And so I always say, like, I can't make you change your habits, but we can at least give you a tool to ease your habits until you're ready to let go of them. And that's those orange lenses. Now, I've done more research since we had that comment. Orange lenses are, if you get proper ones, are hugely effective 3 hours before bed.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes,
3 hours before bed.
yeah.
Hmm.
Well, anything with the, yeah, like, cause there's those lights, it's hard to really dim the lights too at night, right? I've tried that before, and then you're kind of like putting around in the dark, you turn one light on.
Yeah.
But those orange lenses is such a nice idea.
They turn on your natural melatonin production. They ease the blue light in the room, and they kind of signal to your body and your brain that it's getting closer to bedtime. We live in a time where we have these big bright booming lights where I can make it look like it's daylight in my studio in the middle of the night. And then a lot of people work either in hospitals or in, grocery stores, and these big bright LED lights. And so I've told clients, and I make them do it, like, I don't care. Find a cool fashiony pair. We have a great pair at Good Living that I do really love. They're quite big on my face, and people say I look obnoxious, but I love them. And it's just my have a ton of fish. And I said, wear them out before bed. I don't care if you're going to dinner, wear them out. Have you
Yeah.
not seen 99% of the bro podcasters wearing the lenses during their shows? Like, wear them out. You're fine. If Hermosi can wear a ridiculous strip on his nose out loud, like, just wear the glasses out. You'll feel better when you go to bed, when you go home, and everybody else will be struggling to get to sleep. And then do a little bit of breathing before bed. Just four
Yeah.
in, six out, nice and slow. Just for 20 rounds, and you'll go right to sleep.
Yeah, I
That's
love
it.
it. I love it. And that's that one, just kind of finding the time. We've talked about that a ton, but those setting
Yeah.
those times helps for our poop. I feel like we should make a new trend on Instagram, poop maxing.
Poop vaccine is like a real one. I don't know
That
why
one's
we're not
coming, dude. That
hashtagging
one's
that.
coming. You heard it here first. It's coming soon. That one's coming down the pipe.
I've read
Literally,
about a
pun
lot of
intended.
things. I've read about a lot of things I don't want to be right about. Maybe this is the next one. Maybe we'll make shirts. Who
Poop
knows?
maxing. There's a poop cam. These guys got they are so you can it goes in your toilet and it take a picture and it so you can see like how healthy your poop is.
I
It's
also
kind of
think that's a
but it's
fetish,
actually it's yeah. Yeah.
and you could probably start an OnlyFans with it. Just saying. Listen,
It's a brave new world.
Brave New World, lots of opportunity. Hey, I don't listen. I will never shit on OnlyFans. I have friends who have podcasts on there and have cooking shows on there, and they're nothing to do with sexual stuff. So I'm like, you want to put your poop cam on there, then you do you, son. Whatever pays your bills, I'm here for it. But I do love the sleep maxing. That one to me, when people are sleeping, they're thinking clear, they're making better decisions, they're being more in their body and present, and they're more rational when it comes to making dissuasive decisions. I need to go back to bed before I start my life today. Um, this one is cool though. I think paying attention to your body. Like I said, if you're the person who's like, oh, I only need 4 hours sleep, I just encourage you to take a look at why your body is waking you up, because most people get woken up through a cortisol spike, and then taking a look at our stuff when it comes to adding GABA. So we have those products with Good Living that I think are a great add for sleep. And if you're really struggling, adding one of those in before bed, as well as some breath work. And I think it will make a huge difference on your ability to stay asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff really helps. Those nutrients just help the system come down,
Mm-hmm.
stay in that and get to those REMs and the big piece being you know, it doesn't as much as the time does matter, it's not fully about the time, it's the depth of the sleep, the quality of the sleep that
Mm-hmm.
matters the absolute most. So making
Mm-hmm.
sure we're getting that quality and that really relays into our diet, into the nutrients we're getting, and yeah, giving ourselves that good environment to sleep in.
Mm-hmm. That one's a really good one. Do you wear a wearable at night at all to track your sleep?
No, but I think I'm gonna start. I have in the past, and then I was kind of like got to a point. I'm like, I know I got
Yep.
I see it, and I kind of now I know, and I
Mm-hmm.
have my internal data. But it is really nice to track, even though I do more kind of create my own through how I'm feeling and that
Yeah.
understanding of my own body. But I'm thinking about getting on one again.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. I was actually looking at mine last night for the first time in a long time because I don't like to notice how big my stomach's getting. So I try not to look at the eradication of my sleep schedule right now. And The one thing I actually did find was really interesting because I always thought, well, I need to go to bed 9:30, 10. That seems to be like when I sleep best. But it was funny because the looking at the duration of sleep of my actual sleep cycles based on my circadian rhythm was 11 to 7 was
Ah,
like my optimal amount of sleep. And so what I had been doing is doing like 10 to 6, and that was causing like some instability in the sleep. So I have to get up before
interesting.
7 anyway because of my son, but it was cool to kind of see where my REM and things were at and where those hours kind of kick off and when I get maybe the most restless in the night. And ironically, they track with cortisol spikes again, like usual. So that just means looking a little more at breath and GABA and maybe what I'm doing before bed. So it's kind of cool. Even if you don't do it all the time, even if you do yourself like a 2 week span and you get really intentional about the data and then kind of follow that and see how you feel. Because people do base their whole lives on what their numbers say. So if you're going to do that, I always encourage don't fall into the trap. Wake up, ask yourself how you feel, ask yourself how you think you slept, and then sit with that and then check the data. Don't check the data to see how you feel that day. Ask yourself first and then see if it correlates with the data.
Yeah. And that then it becomes a real cool tool because then you can
Yeah.
tell, like when you wake up in the morning and you have like a groggy sensation or you're having a hard time moving through it, like you can kind of start to gather when you haven't had that REM sleep, when you have put together like what's happened, and it helps in that connection with your body, which to me is that ultimate goal, because that there's nothing more powerful than that, because you have this
Mhm.
interior data system that's always going. So the more you get to tune into it, the
Yeah.
better. But it really does help see that and then kind of reverse engineer it so you can understand.
Yeah, 100%. No, 100%. The other thing too that I wanted to look at was these snack size workouts, homie. I love just the name. Just love the
It's
name.
great. Snack size workouts, exercising in micro doses. I think this one's great. I'm actually super, super, super happy this is trending because I initially came across this through a study. It was a European study, and they were looking at workouts where they were doing a high intensity, high output over 25 minutes, and the gains that were received versus an hour to an hour and a half workout. And
Hmm.
more gains were received on this 25-minute workout than on the hour workout because of the intensity, because of like the ability for the recovery and some other factors that are in the study. And I'll dig it up and I'll throw it in the notes. But
Hmm.
um, to me that was really interesting because it was like, oh, the biggest thing is like to talk you out of working out is like, oh, I don't have an hour, I don't have an hour and a half, or blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. When the real ones that help the nervous system, the real ones that really promote the gains are these like concise workouts, and that are, it can be as simple as 5 to 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. They're great too for if you're somebody who works at a desk all day. I loved that. Even I actually had some other clients too who would have to do multi-hour drives a day and they would get fatigued throughout the drive. So it's like pull over halfway through, get out and do 25 squats and really push the blood back up to the brain. Do those types of things and then it helps your awareness. And so I think doing this is a great place to start for people even if it's something small, like I said, even like little walking treadmills under your desk, even if you can give yourself like a 10-minute walk every hour, just those things make a huge difference in how the blood flow is going to work and how your brain is going to work. And also, there's no excuses anymore. Like there just isn't. Not in this day and age. You being lazy is now a choice. And so, I'm optimistic that we're going to start to see this, even if you're like, well, push-ups, do it from your knees. And if you can't do it from your knees, do them on a wall, right? And
Yeah,
so there's tons of options, tons.
tons of options. And
Yeah.
air squats, planks, all that kind of stuff, right? Like you
Hmm.
can, and obviously we still, when we have certain goals, we want to have those, get the proper workouts and do those
Yeah.
things and have those in. But like when we're talking about health, movement, travel, any of that kind of stuff, like these snap size workouts are great, man.
And also, too, you just get pregnant and everything feels like a workout going upstairs. You could do that. So, I mean, that's always a great place to start. The amount of times I'm out of breath on an ongoing basis during the day right now is Uncomfortable. Michael put my socks on today. Let's just go with that.
We're there. We're
We're
in the
there.
final innings.
We are there. We're so there. But it's cool because I really think that this is going to make a big difference if people are able to integrate this into their lives. It doesn't have to be a lot of movement. It's consistency, and that's where it matters, which was cool because when I took a look at, the plans for today, I love how everything tied together into foundation builders because so many people follow these people on the internet and are like, well, this guy is already doing this and this guy's already running like a sub half marathon at this. It's like they all had to go through foundational builders to be able to have that capacity and output. And so this stuff does not happen overnight. And if you start taking these active steps every day, you're going to see a massive shift in a really quick time instead of just doing one of them. If you do the sleep thing, you do the fiber thing, you do the diet change, like they don't have to be big swings, but just little bites of everything every day gets you so much further down the line.
So much further down the line. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the cool thing I hope people are starting to realize is we see these these people and more of like where it happened and where they're at now, but we never see everything it took to get there, and we think it all
Yes.
just happens overnight, and it's a huge misconception because it's all these little pieces and figuring it out, and that's the beauty of it. That's the journey. That's the fun part. So it's time to start tapping into the
Mm-hmm.
maxing culture.
Maxing. We're gonna start maxing, guys. And also, like, trust the process. It's frustrating. It takes 21 days to break a habit, 21 days to get a habit going. So just trust that as long as you're consistent, it will come. And even if you fall off, the great news is tomorrow's going to come and you can start again. But don't wait another few days. Don't say, "Oh, I'm going to take a couple days off. Or I'm going on vacation." But just keep going. Little things, right? There's not a lot of excuses, like I said, anymore. So if you do really want change, you have to start implementing little things. And like I said, as soon as you start at like the fiber thing, as soon as you start actually having your body move properly, it actually makes things so much easier, right? You're not
Yeah.
having the poisons build up in your body. So this is I'm really excited for this week's. I think this is just a really simple one. I think there's a lot of great takeaways from this one. Like I said, the small stuff, the sleep, dude. The first thing we say to people, whether it's in coaching and psychiatry, or it's just in overall life, or, if you're dealing with enemy combatants, is if you mess with someone's sleep, you can get them to do anything. So we
Yeah.
can also improve that too. It takes 24 hours to break a brain. 24 hours, that's it. So think about that. If you're constantly on sleep deprivation mode, no
Yeah.
wonder your stress levels high. No wonder you have cortisol spikes. No wonder you're more reactive. No wonder you're a little crankier with kids. No wonder, no wonder, no wonder. So get your sleep right. Everything shifts, man. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything shifts. And that's the most simple way, like the big takeaway is just like a couple simple things. Set that easy structure, like just pick a time at night that works for you to shut it all down at the
Mm-hmm.
sleep point when you wake up. That can be a fun way too, is with these little 5 10 things. Do 20 squats when you're making your smoothie, or after you have, like, when you're doing your smoothie, right? Like, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, and just start there.
When I wait for my heat bag at night, because my toes are always cold before bed, uh, I do them there. Yeah, seriously, it's so funny because there's so many opportunities. You're waiting for your coffee to brew and do
Yeah,
20 right there. You're waiting for your kid. You're watching them going to school. You just sit there in a squat in a stagnant squat position. Like there's so many options now. And let's be honest, nobody's afraid to. It doesn't feel like kids are embarrassed or people are embarrassed anymore to do anything. So like, what's the worst you do? You're sitting in a squat position. Okay, cool. Yeah, like okay, it's not
yeah,
a big deal anymore. So I think I think this is the year of the small steps that make the big change. So if you want to like look at goals for 2026 or like these trends and stuff, out of all of the ones we've seen so far for the first year and a half, month and a half of the year, is understanding that these basic fundamental building blocks, you get those right going into the rest of your life, the rest of your year, I promise you, you will see a significant shift, not only in who you are, but your output and what you have for yourself, what's left for yourself at the end of the day, too.
100%.
Hmm.
100%. I love that. All right. Have a great day.
Yeah,
Thank you,
man.
everyone.
Thanks,
We'll see you
homie.
next week.
Yes. If
Getting
you have any
into it.
questions, let us know. If you guys want any more unsolicited advice or places to get proper products or understand what we're doing here and how you can get some more knowledge, make sure to message Good Living or myself, and we guys will pass it along. And I think as our questions start to build up, the more you guys put in, the more we get the opportunity to do like Q&As and like kind of dive in a little deeper onto some of these subjects that maybe you guys are more interested in. It gives us time to research them and get you out some data that would be maybe a little more helpful long term. So thanks for being here, friends.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be tons of fun. And any questions, the mushrooms, the supplements, let us know.
Yes, sir.
We'll help you
Okay.
out. All right.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.